Oh, whew, no. Yeah, I'm not gonna be spending a lot of time outside today because I'm still in getting back on track mode. Gotta feed the cats and do my 2 hours and 2 hours and a warm up, I guess. Let's get to it! Alright, running late as usual. I did my 30-minute warm-up sketch. Today it was Marvin, the paranoid android from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, specifically the BBC television version, not the movie version. I don't think I've ever really watched it. I kind of remember half watching the first episode maybe, like I rented it from a video store or something. I definitely never watched the whole series. The robot looked vaguely familiar to me. It has a very early Doctor Who feel. I dig it. So I was most happy with this warm-up, probably because it's a robot in sci-fi, so it's up my alley, but also the drawing itself, I think, came out the best of the three I've done. Probably the fact that I did March of Robots last month, yes, helped because it was a robot. So anyway, I'm happy with that, and I will share it around, not just with you, but I will also share it with you, and here it is. Marvin. Get back to inking the Danzig Slash. I did work on it a little bit more last night, so you might notice there's more progress than there was when we last spoke. And over here, I went on iTunes. I have the, I forget what it's called, iTunes Pro or whatever, so you can kind of listen to anything you want. And I found this painted, I don't know if it's Simon Bisley. I don't think it is. It could be, but the face, I'm not sure. But the point is, this album cover intrigued me. So I looked at it, and it's Lost Tracks of Danzig, and it's almost 2 hours long exactly. So perfect. I don't know how much I'll like it, but it'll be a good soundtrack with the correct amount of time. Getting going now. Well, I have continued to use this pen for most of it. I want to put some heavy blacks in the pants here. I'm going to go ahead and use a Copic marker. This is just a 100% cool black. It's got the bullet tip here. And it's got the chisel tip. I'll probably start with the chisel tip and then finish up with the bullet tip. The reason for this is to not use up the black ink in this, as I said before, and also to speed things up. But as you can see, I actually mapped out the lines with the brush pen, which I didn't have to do because I have, you know, the drawing underneath through the light box, but I don't know, I feel like it gives me a little bit of safety, a sort of holding line, and it just makes it a little more definitive, makes me feel a little less nervous about going in with this heavy, big black marker on a piece of original, soon-to-be-finished art. And I notice that the Danzig album I put on stopped after one track, and I wonder if it's one of those weird ones that is not included in my package, in which case I'm going to have to select something else to listen to. All right, I'm going to stop this and go check on that. Yeah, it was one of those weird ones that I can't listen to the whole album, which is stupid. So this is, I put on Danzig 1988, which I think is his first album. It's just black with the skull. And I don't know, this one I might like because maybe it's closer to his Misfit stuff. And it's about 40 minutes. And I didn't actually set a timer because I thought that last one was going to be my timer. So once this is done, I'll be roughly at about an hour. But I'm going to stop recording now and get back to you later.
What's this? Well, this is me inking using the Copic, doing the heavy blacks. For some reason, I was standing up, and then I kneel down, and I stand up. And this is something I do from time to time. I'm not sure exactly why. I don't know.
All right, it's been less than 2 hours, more than 1 hour. The inking is done? Here's what I'm looking at. The inking is done. You know, I could always go back in and fiddle with a few things, but it's mostly done. I'm happy with the black on the pants. I did do 90% of this with the brush pen. I did the heavy blacks with the Copic, but if you notice, I went back in and feathered it out and extended some of the lines with the brush pen, just so it didn't look so chunky. And on the microphone, I did actually use a Micron pen just to get that to be a little bit more mechanical, a little bit more uniform. That's pretty much it. The thing I'm not sure about is the mesh shirt. You can see I put in the collar and the lines for the sleeves. It's a sleeveless mesh shirt, and digitally I'm definitely going to put it in, and I'm just thinking if I use black it might be too much, if I use gray it might be a little weird, so I think what I'm going to do is lay a piece of paper over top and do a quick test and then see where I'm at. Okay, this is the test I did. That's gray brush pen, that's black brush pen, that's 0.5 micron, that's 0.3 micron. I'm kind of going with the 0.3 micron. I also like this sort of diagonal mesh as opposed to the more square mesh. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. And Viola, mesh shirt. Kind of worked just how I wanted. You can't really tell from a distance, it just looks sort of like grayish. If you get up real close, you can see the mesh shirt, but you can still see the shell underneath. I also put a little teeny bit of whiteout pen here and a few other places just to correct a couple minor mistakes, which I normally do digitally, but since this is going to be sold, I wanted to clean it up traditionally as well. So, donezo, less than 2 hours. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do now. I'm outside for a second. I had some time left on the print work 2-hour thing, but there's nothing I could really do. I cleaned up the art supplies and I counted that towards it because that's part of work, I guess. But I need to get it scanned, which I can't do at home. I'm gonna get that done tomorrow or later tonight. And then tomorrow I will work on the grays and the colors. I guess I could start a new print, but I decided to go outside and water the plants and get the mail and have a little sunlight real quick before I go back into work on the comic. And I have a friend coming over shortly, so my time is limited and I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm outside. Okay, I have about 20 minutes left that I should be working on this Danzig print, but I'm going to stop because I feel like I'm spinning my wheels and looking for work to do instead of just moving on, which is counterproductive. I took a couple different color variations and threw them up on an art group to get some opinions, and now I'm gonna be done with that. Maybe later tonight I'll come back to it or start a new print, but I'm moving on to the horror just because, again, the whole point of this is to be productive, and my sort of farting around trying to find ways to spend 20 minutes on it is not productive. So moving on. Okay, I got about an hour and 20 into working on the Horror A4 issue 3. Primarily done. This is the theoretically last 4 pages of the issue. I had these 3 panels done. I had stopped here because I needed to design the wristband thing, which I worked on yesterday. Thought about working on that some more, but then I decided, no, I could do that later. Let me just go ahead. So actually, this panel is, I grabbed the temporary design and threw it in here and put it in, you know. So I did that panel, that panel, that panel. And then this page took me most of it. Now, again, these are thumbnails, but this is, I'm constantly blending thumbnails with rough pencils, you know, so this is somewhere in between where I didn't put any distinctive features on anybody, but I'm laying everything out and I'm being very careful to try to lay out the word balloons, which I did a little bit in the first issue, not at all in the second issue, and regretted it. So I don't know that I need to do it, but it's making me feel better. So the thing that took me the longest was this section in here, which is actually 6 television shows, like 1 panel each, kind of similar to like what they did in The Dark Knight Returns or maybe Watchmen. I don't know. It's a trope we've seen before. I'm not, you know, reinventing the wheel here. But for whatever reason, this page was a little bit complicated, even though it doesn't look that complicated, but to make it clear and readable was a bit of a challenge. And I was thinking I was done with the thumbnails, or, you know, to some degree, and I could go back in and start tightening a few or start just checking it out as a whole. I'm probably going to have Q or somebody look at it because, as I said, I have some doubts as to the way, not the story, but the way the issue is laid out and paced. But before I did that, I wanted to make sure all the panels, all the pages were at least filled in with some roughs. And I would probably have to walk her through it, whoever looked at it through, because half of it is stick figures. But just to, you know, anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. But I realized there was 1 page left that I had nothing on other than a note what needs to be there. This page here, which is a transition from this action scene to another action scene. And I wanted to have something in between that was, you know, to kind of cleanse the palette, show that we're switching times and places. And I know what I want it to be. It's a scene of the military people, but I haven't written it. I kind of vaguely know what they're going to be talking about. And it's funny because I talk about how having everything written helps whenever, but yet when I did these pages, which were just action, I kind of just did it and it was fun. And, you know, which is part of why I doubt whether or not I should do it, because like this was just fun action that I drew without stressing over. It must be wrong. I don't know if that's true. This one though, I started drawing this and I'm like, what am I drawing? Who they talk about? And I realized I can't do it this way. I need to sit down and actually conceptualize what's going to be on this page beginning to end, what they're going to be saying, and then I could take that and try to visualize it a little bit more, but I don't have it. But what I'm going to do, instead of working that this exact second, I'm going to look through papers and see if I can find that design for the gauntlet that I was talking about, and then I'll come back to this because I'm feeling a little stuck on it right now. All right, it's about 1:30 in the morning. Our friend came over, we went out to eat, we watched the Andre the Giant documentary, which was quite good and sad a little bit, but good. And then I got back to work. I had about 30-40 minutes left to do on the Horror A4, which I did. I wrote out the page I was talking about. I did look through some papers, didn't find anything, and I didn't count that towards my time after all. I wrote out the page I needed. I had Q look over the thumbnails you know, because I'd been talking about the way the action might be weighted and this and that, and she sort of, I kind of walked her through because there's no dialogue or whatever, and she sort of agreed that it's working this way. So, you know, it's looking more like this is going to be the issue, and I'm just going to have to deal with the fallout of the extra stuff that wasn't in it later on. The upside of that is that right now I have a page count of 23 pages, which is not too bad. And it's all at least somewhat thumbnailed out. Now, some of the thumbnails are like chicken scratch, with the exception of one page, which I was just working on, which is the new page I did the script for. And it was so much easier once I did the script. And it wasn't even that hard to do the script. There's just something about separating the writing from the art that makes it easier for me. Again, when I did the action, that wasn't the case, but for like dialogue scenes and things like that. So I'll show you what I'm working on. This is the filler page. Well, I'm calling it filler, but there's actual story that I wanted to convey, but I've decided to put it here, and it's more of a buffer page is a better way to put it. So if I zoom in, you can see I need to do this final panel, and I was working on this little spread here. This is actually a display of different versions of the horror that they've seen so far, and it's the military room and a briefing, everything like that. So it's a little bit cramped up here. I might rearrange it, but I'm just going for a first pass. Maybe not. It might look okay once I clean it up. But once I get this page done, which will be tomorrow, I will have the whole third issue roughed out, thumbnailed out. That doesn't mean I might not go back and change things, but I will. That's what I will do. I will finish this up and then go back and start looking at what, if anything, I want to change, and then go into start doing pencils, or digital pencils, or rough pencils, whatever you want to call it. So there's that. Technically, I did not put in my 2 hours in on the print, although I did work towards it. I did 2 hours. I did my work. I'm justifying, but like I wasn't lazy. I did my work, but it just ended up being a weird order of events. Tomorrow, I have to teach my class, and I'm going to go get my the inks for the print scanned. I may or may not do the warm-up sketch tomorrow because I will be a little bit pressed for time. Maybe I'll do it afterwards. Maybe I'll do it or while I'm waiting for class to start. Maybe I'll bring my iPad and do that and kind of do a warm-up sketch after the fact. I don't know. All I do know is that today is done. Today is day 3 of getting back on track with me, Gazbot, and the Horror A4 issue 3. Thanks a lot.